We are. Okay. Hey,
Now
look,
you gonna
look,
show
my
them
shirt
how to cut?
matches the quilt.
Yeah, it does. I should have been color
Oh, and you're in
coordinated
blue
with
too.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could not find my lipstick,
I have lip.
so I can
Oh,
tell
well.
I'm not wearing lipstick. Oh well. Yes. Hello, hello.
Hi,
People don't
everyone.
know we were coming on right now.
No, we were
No.
supposed to come on around 1, and then Tiffany had such a great show. Hers ran over.
Yeah.
And then Tommy isn't going to be able to come on today at 3 because the kits are just now going out, so we were in no rush.
Yeah.
So,
And that's so Tommy, okay, so the kits went out without the bags, but we're making improvements on that. Something he ordered after the bag came in a month ago. And from the same supplier. So it was all about the shipping and getting stuck in customs, which Roberta Heil, which she told me 5,000 times in the course of the 40 years that I've known her, that she was a customs broker, but I don't really know what they do. I would never know. But she's going to, she explained to us, you know, what her job is. And when they see paperwork from her company, the people in customs know that everything is done perfect and they rush it ahead. So, but when they see, like, you know, that what got held up, I guess, is that they had to check over the paperwork.
We have our own personal customs person.
Yes, we do, because she's trying to. But I didn't understand it, but Tommy, I think, will understand.
I know on the show last week, she kept trying to get through to you and your screen was frozen. So she texted me and said, tell them that I work in customs. I'm like, okay, I'll try to get through to them.
Yeah. So I think, yes, I think we're going to get that figured out. You know, I never in my life would ever buy anything from a foreign country to be imported. Would you? I mean... No.
Well, a lot of the stuff you buy just does. I mean,
yeah, but we buy it here.
Yes.
Yeah, I would never think to bring it in. I would think it's too hard to bring it in.
Things are looking like maybe we're going to be making more stuff here. It'll be great.
Yeah.
If that's true.
Well, they said there's a manufacturing plant that's being built in Butler, Pennsylvania area. I forget who's building it, but
Mitsubishi.
Yeah, Mitsubishi.
And it's for car parts, not actually for cars, but I can't remember what they're making.
Yeah.
Not the actual assembly line automobiles. It's other stuff.
Yeah. But we don't have any workers.
And there's a new
That's the problem. What if they do manufacturing?
New steel mill is going to be built in Louisiana too.
Really? Okay. Why not Pittsburgh?
Right. Well, I guess.
You got it.
Well, that's true.
We wish, because that was a good era in Pittsburgh when we had this.
That's why Allegheny County has the oldest population in the whole United States. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
It's because people never moved away because they've had so many jobs here.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they retired.
We go neck and neck with a county in Florida. Yeah, and most of the time, Allegheny County, where we are, is the oldest. Every once in a while, that county in Florida edges us out. But
that's because people retire there, not because they stayed there their whole life.
Yeah. And so I say that we're really lucky in the sewing machine business to have the oldest population, because they're the sewers. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have a lot of young gals coming in.
Yeah, we do.
Joni was just showing a machine to a young girl.
Yes, I know. That's so good. Yes.
And she had a lot of really creative
what
ideas.
do you think of the quilt behind us? So look at that. So Ruth Ann is going to show you just a little bit today, because like we sold the fabric. So some people have the fabric.
Yes, that's why I wanted to talk about how the fabric is misprinted.
Yeah. So Ruth Ann, if you want to make this quilt, you got to stay with Ruth Ann. So we'll be coming up with the date. So it's called the Glorious Garden.
Okay.
But I've seen these quilts at the quilt show every year, these Kaleidoscope quilts, which the quilt show is coming up. Tell them when.
April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's at South Point in Washington County. It's at the Loft Conference Center.
Yeah.
And it's up on Main Street in South Point. I think that's called Main Street. But you go through the big roundabout, and then you go straight up the hill, and there's all kinds of restaurants, and there's tons of free parking. And I haven't been to the conference center yet. I didn't get to go tour it when the other gals did, but they claim that it has very, very light colored carpeting, tons of lighting. There's a cafe where they're going to be serving food.
Oh, we love that.
And they said they may even do mimosas on Saturday.
Okay. That would be nice.
And then we're going to have our demo area right by the cafe so people can sit at those tables and chairs and watch the
Yeah.
demos going on.
The talent in this area is incredible. Yeah, it is. So you will see. I mean, it's juried, right? You
Right.
don't just, you have to
And
be like voted in
well,
to this.
you have to make sure your quilt qualifies. You have to make sure it's in the right category, all that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And then a week ago Friday, we met at my church and put up big tables, and we put up big plastic cloths that are all marked where all the different racks are, so we could decide what quilt's going to hang where.
Oh, wow.
That took like 3 or 4 hours.
I bet.
And we had I think, don't quote me on this, but we had 151, I believe, entered.
Wow.
And we could only hang 138.
Oh,
So
wow.
anybody that entered 3 quilts, their 3rd quilt had to
It
be
is
pulled.
worth the drive if you come from far away. So
There's a
and it's
hotel-
easy to get to,
There are
right?
all kind of restaurants right there. There's a hotel right there in South Point. In fact, maybe 2 of them.
Yeah. And we're going to be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you remember the hours?
10 to 4 Thursday and Friday,
Okay.
and 10 to 3 on Saturday, because we have to tear down and people want their quilts and they want to be out there. It takes a good 5 days to set the quilt show up.
I bet.
And literally 1 hour it's torn down and people are at the door.
Yeah, because they're waiting in line. They want their quilt and they want to go home.
Yes. And their ribbon.
Yeah, I want to be there on the first day because that's a fun day, because they walk in with their families to get their picture taken with their quilt. Just being in this quilt show is a big deal.
My husband stands by my quilts.
Yeah, does he? To hear what people say.
Yeah. And I said to him, if somebody says something negative, you can't say anything. But if they say something nice, he goes, my wife made this.
Yeah. Well, this to me is quilt show contender. It is so gorgeous. Yeah. So, and that's it. It's tell me the girl that always does the kaleidoscopes quilts that are in the quilt show.
Oh, Patty Schreiber.
Yes, Patty Schreiber.
And she pieces all hers by hand.
By hand,
all
totally by hand.
Yes.
So well
they
worth
remind
coming.
you of an intricate stained glass window. Is
Yeah.
what her quilts remind me of.
Right. They're just absolutely. So they said you're let me put it up here so it's closer to her mouth. Maybe that would be better.
Oh, okay. I always put it on my pocket. Okay.
All right.
Is that better?
I always talk loud. I'll make her talk loud.
Okay.
Yes, we do, Mary. We have a quilt kit for sale. So the fabric went on back order instantly, and so the quilt kits are coming in. They told us in April, so it's almost April.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe you'll start the class in May.
Probably.
Because that'll give us time to get the kits to everybody. So
Okay. And the other one we want to start in May, I'm just going to show it right now real quick,
okay.
is we call her Little Deb Adrian, because she's so little.
Yeah.
Deb Adrian and I are going to teach the Crimson Christmas
Yeah.
too.
Let's put it down.
Let's take it
here.
out of the plastic.
Yeah. And put it here and she can zoom in on it.
And when you look at this picture, you think, oh, that's a quilt block. But that's the whole quilt.
It is.
That's not a quilt block.
It is. Is the back have a better picture? Kinda.
Well, you can tell it's a whole quilt because you can see the lady holding it and her feet sticking out on the bottom.
Yeah. So there. So here. Isn't this gorgeous? So, and we emailed her. This is Krista Moser. And she gave us the exact fabrics that she used, and we're waiting for those to come in. I better check on that. I ordered those weeks ago.
I think there's 4 bolts upstairs so far, and they're the reds and mauves. And I think I saw 1 white up there, so you still need quite a few.
I better go up. Yeah,
Somebody said some of them are batiks, and they're waiting on the batiks.
Yeah, so I better call them again. So they're Hoffman batiks and then Moda grunge. So they said it looks complicated. What do you think?
Well, I read the whole pattern, and you cut it into strips. And then once you cut the strips, you use your 60-degree diamond ruler to make your cuts.
That is the ruler designed by Krista.
Yeah, and look how she tells you, make 24 of these, the lightest red, the next, the next, the next. Make 28 of these, the light, she spells it all out. The only thing I found, she says, sew your 6.5 by 8.5 inch black rectangles together. But she never did tell you to cut it into 8.5 rectangles.
Oh, okay.
But that's simple.
Yeah.
And then right here, she says right side and it's left side for the black triangles.
Okay.
She said left side here and left side there. That's all.
Ruth Ann will.
That's the only 2 I found.
she'll keep us straight.
That's the only two I found.
Yeah,
It
so
wasn't anything worth contacting her about.
yeah. So the what's in the bubble right now is the Glorious Garden pattern only, but we do have the kit. So is that the next item? Yeah. So if you want the full kit, it's $115. It's 9 1/8
Eighth
yards of the fabric.
Plus the pattern.
It's by Jason Yenter. If
And
you
that's,
haven't
that's
heard
the
his
front,
name,
that's the front of the quilt only and the binding. That's
yeah.
not backing.
So, and you get the pattern with it too.
Mhm.
So you can buy the whole kit. Could you adapt this to another fabric, or do you think you
As
have
long-
to have this fabric?
Well, as long as you have a nice wide border print like this, sure. Why not?
Yeah, it might have to be another Jason Yenter.
Could,
Yeah,
maybe.
because we said, why would he sell that pattern for so low? But I said, I bet it's because you could only do it with his fabric, and I think that is the case.
Or
So-
it pushes people to purchase the fabric.
Yeah, Mary, that's the pattern does come with the kit.
Yes.
Yes. So you will get everything, and Ruth Ann is going to help us through it. So
I'm just gonna explain.
okay.
When I looked at the pattern and I looked at the fabric, I was at home, and no matter how you looked at it, well, where's the back of it? Here it is. No, here it is. Okay. If you look at the way this is printed, where are we at, Kate?
We'll just put it and she'll zoom.
Look at the way the picture's printed. You look and you'll see this little navy blue stripe
Yes.
shows up. I'm going the wrong direction. Shows up here. And they're saying that it happens on every single border print.
Uh-huh.
Every single one has that little navy blue stripe. Well, guess what? This one did not.
Ah, okay. So she contacted them.
So
Ruth
I
Ann contacted them.
emailed them and I said, I think your fabric's printed wrong. They didn't answer. So I emailed again and left my phone number, and they called immediately. And they said, yes, we know it's printed wrong. And so we're rewriting the pattern, and we're going to take a new photograph. Because if you look at this picture right here, and you look at these I guess they're octagons, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They have a little navy blue line around them, every one of them. Well, they're not going to, because you don't have this navy blue line on every single border print. So now your quilt's going to look like the one hanging behind me. And it's going to look like this. It doesn't look that much different, but you're not going to see that little navy blue line anymore around the edge.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But even more disturbing than that, they did not change the directions. They just
Yeah.
changed the picture.
You got to watch Ruth Ann.
They just
We'll
changed the
give
picture.
you all the dates when she's coming. So it really depends on when the fabric comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and we're waiting on our 45-degree rollers to come in too. They haven't come in yet, because these are 45-degree angles. Every one of these is made up of 6, 8 45-degree angles. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So their directions tell you that, and I'm not going to go through all the stacking of the fabric and lining it up and everything, but once you stack it all and line it up, their directions tell you to put the bottom of what they call a template. They provide you with templates, which is something that I don't normally do, okay? See that template? I took a 45-degree ruler that I had at home, and I laid over this. And then I put a piece of tape across the ruler right here.
Okay.
And that's what I would put at the bottom edge of this light blue line. That's how I cut my triangles out. So you cut 6 of them, and we'll get into this when we do the class. You cut 6 of them like this over the flowers, and you cut 8 of them this way, where it's mainly navy blue background. And you'll see that here.
Oh, wow.
And here. Okay.
Yes. So that's how, I mean, by repositioning the ruler and cutting, that's how they got out those different looks.
And they said, you may want to fussy cut and decide what you want. I just laid the ruler down. I figured no matter where I laid it, it's going to be pretty.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to hear.
I was afraid if I started fussy cutting, I'd get to the end and I'd run out of fabric because I was moving left or right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you got this fabric at home and you want to get started, you can't cut all of your border strips 1/4 of an inch below this navy blue line because you don't have the navy blue line
On
here.
this one.
On this one, yep. So they all have to be cut the same. And if you look,
Wait for Ruth Ann.
I probably don't have it here.
Unless you understand.
But if you looked on the other end of this fabric, this
Mhm.
little navy blue line was up here instead of being down here where it belonged.
Okay.
Okay? And you'll see here how they tell you how to use templates. The other thing they told you use a template for, I wonder if Keith's watching, he'll be laughing. Let me look for the square. Oh, they tell you to cut all these triangles. All these triangles. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you take your ruler, give me that ruler, and you lay it on the straight side, whoops, I'm bumping you, and you lay it on the straight side, and you look at this, it is 5.5 inches. And if you look, see that little corner? It goes over the 5.5 by like,
Point there.
by
again,
like,
right
see
there.
how far it goes over the 5?
How far?
Just that
A
far.
smidge.
Yes. So I called my
A
husband down,
16th
and
of
I
an
said,
inch.
oh, not even that, maybe a 32nd. I said to Keith, do you think I could call that 5.5 inches?
Uh-huh.
I'm afraid because that little bit, he says, oh, for heaven's sake. So I just took the 5.5 inch ruler and I cut all these squares, 5.5 inches, and then sliced them.
Okay.
And they work fine.
They work good. Okay. You're going to show us. She's
Yes.
just giving you an overview.
Yes, because
She's gonna show all
I
this
want to
again.
try to tell them what they need to buy ahead of time. That's why I'm telling them this.
Yeah.
So if you cut a 5.5 inch square and then just cut it corner to corner, why would you want to cut a template and trace it? And,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
No.
if they were trying to use their own fabric, they would need a 9.5 inch wide border, right? Oh, 10.5. Or tell us.
Yeah, it's about 10.5.
Yeah, 10.5 inch border, which I'm thinking the only one that makes those is in the beginning, Jason Yenter, because usually our borders aren't that wide.
Oh, okay.
So,
And you would know that. I don't know that.
yeah. And I will look, I mean, I love this fabric. I love the quilt, but they do have other lines.
And he doesn't have it in any other colorway, does he? Only in the blue.
Well, not that exact one, but he has fall leaves on them.
I saw one laying on the counter over by Janine in like pastels.
Yeah.
And it's printed. It's printed like this, so you don't have to make the kaleidoscopes. They're printed on the fabric.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't like the colors as well.
Yeah.
It's very, I call it peaked. It's very pale and peaked compared to this.
They
I like a lot of
that's
color.
the trend now. These all pastel, really light
I
quilts.
like a lot of color.
I like color.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Okay. So that's why I don't want everybody
Mary, we are gonna wait till you get the kit and then we're gonna
Oh,
plan the
absolutely,
class.
absolutely. But I'm just trying to explain to you what items you might want to buy and have on hand.
Yeah.
Okay? So the first thing you're going to need is a 45-degree ruler, which we don't have. They're on order.
Okay.
And
so
the one I used at home, I couldn't find today, and I borrowed it from Carol Whitmore, so I'm going to have to buy her one when yours come in.
Oh, okay. Now, they did not ship out the patterns because they heard there was a problem. Is it okay to ship them out now? Because they didn't change the directions.
Now, Ryan told me that some of the original 6 patterns got shipped out.
Yeah.
So when the new ones came in, he said, oh, whoever got the old ones, I'll ship them these. I said, don't bother, because they didn't change the directions. All they did was change the picture on the front.
So we'll have to go over and tell them it's okay, because there's like, we kind of halted with the shipping because we heard there was a problem, but they didn't change the directions. No. So
and I've looked and looked and looked. They didn't change them a bit. They only changed the picture.
What's the finished size of the quilt?
Oh, that's a very good question. 65 by 87. Yeah, it tends to be a little narrower and a little longer.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very large border for such a small center, but you had to get it all in there.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Really beautiful. And I like that the border has a lot of the blue. Yeah. So
and if anyone would start cutting before we start showing, remember that when you use a 45-degree ruler, you are on true bias at 45 degrees.
Yes.
So when you're putting these together, I handle them very gingerly.
Okay.
Because this is the stretchiest part of your fabric right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So very, very gingerly. You don't want to be picking them up by the edge and hauling them
Okay.
around.
Do you
okay?
use Best Press or
I didn't.
you don't?
I didn't, but you
like
can.
Carol, our Carol uses Material
Yeah,
Magic.
she waters it down, uses Stereo
Yeah,
Magic.
yeah. So
But then I don't like to wash my quilts after I make
yeah,
them.
she
And you have to
washes
wash
them.
them out. You have to
Yeah,
wash that out.
because they'd be too stiff.
Well, not only that,
So
it's not good to leave chemicals in your quilt.
yeah,
hmm
because they
Okay.
could fade the fabric. Is
No,
that why?
well, someone says especially spray starch will draw bugs.
Oh, okay. We don't
I've
want
heard
that.
that. I've heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Starts the daylights out of it before you start, Sherry says. Material Magic would fix it. How about Best Press? Would that fix it?
Well, that would help.
Yeah, Carol swears by Material Magic. But Best Press would just give it a little. I know Arlene Funk. Do you know Arlene?
I do.
She sews perfect.
Yes, she does.
Yes. She, when making a quilt, she best presses every piece. Yeah.
Okay.
Before, yeah.
And that would help with this 45-degree. I was just very, very careful not to stretch
so
it.
Ruth Ann is a careful person. She'd have them all organized. She would pick it up like
Yes.
this.
Yep.
And
I
she
did.
would lay it down just like real, like that. Tuck it in. And so if you're not a careful person, then do the Best Press. Best Press you can leave in, right? It doesn't make it as stiff as the Material Magic.
I don't know if it's safe to leave that in or not. I really don't
we
know.
better check with Arlene.
Okay.
We got to find out from Arlene, does she wash the quilt? Yeah. So how about you ladies? Do you, if you use Best Press or Material Magic, do you wash the quilt after you made it? And what kind of batting do you use? Because the battings can shrink. What batting do you use?
I usually, right now I'm using Hobbs 80/20.
Yeah,
Because
that's the most popular.
I have a mold of it at home.
That's every time I go on.
It makes your quilt just slightly puffier than the Warm and Natural.
Yeah,
And
but
I like
it doesn't
I like
shrink.
that real flat look. No, it shouldn't shrink because it has
Yeah.
the poly in it.
Right. So I check all the time as to what the most popular batting is, and it's always Hobbs 80/20. Yeah. So
You're going to start carrying it by the bolt, I hope.
yeah, you want us to, but why
They take a lot of room.
Well,
That takes up a lot of room.
we're game.
Okay.
We'll ask Natalia if she's ready to cut it. Yeah.
Okay.
Gingerly.
Right. Yes. Gingerly.
Gail got it. She said gingerly you hold it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
No wash from taffy.
Now, when
with Best Press.
when we start teaching this, you're going to see how we're going to stack 8 layers of this up.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pin through so that you have all 8 layers identical on top of each other. And the pins you want to use, I brought these from home so I wouldn't have to open. In fact, I took a package of these home the other day, not realizing I had these, so I brought them back.
Yeah. Well,
I brought these from home.
Package.
And these are flower head pins. And feel that, Gloria, the head is no thicker than the shaft.
No.
Okay? So then once I pin, I'm going to pretend like this matches.
Okay.
And once I pin 8 layers together, and then I stick a pin in there to hold it. Well, you have to leave that pin while you cut.
Yeah.
So what I like to use are these little gypsy
right here.
grips, gypsy grip hearts. These are mine from home. These are the ones from the store. And they're silicone and they're sticky on the back. And you stick it on the back of your ruler. And that lifts that ruler up. First of all, it holds it in place. And it lifts the ruler up just enough that you're not rocking on the head of the pin. But these pins are pretty flat.
So here
You have to have
all
a
had
flat
that
head.
happen where the pin head is underneath your ruler and it's making your ruler wobble.
And these are all very brightly colored. There's pink, there's blue, there's red, there's yellow. So you'll be able to see if your pin is in the way of where you want to cut.
Okay,
Then
so you gotta have
then
these.
you could slide that one out, when you cut.
I like that. Everyone has to have a box of these.
And what I did with my 45
even if you're not making the quilt.
And what I did with my 45-degree ruler, like I told you, is I laid it down. Again, we're pretending this is 45. It's not. I laid it down like this.
Do we have a 45-degree ruler here today?
No, we do not.
We'll show this again on Thursday, and I'll get the 45-degree.
Yeah, they're on order.
They are.
I borrowed them. I borrowed Carol's because we didn't have them in. And then,
we're always doing 60-degree. This one's 45.
And then I lost Carol's, but it's at home somewhere, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, Carol.
Okay, so you'll see our template line lines up with this black line on the ruler.
Uh-huh.
So what I did at home was I laid a piece of black electrical tape down there.
Yeah.
And then I knew that piece of black electrical tape would always line up with that light blue line right there
Okay.
when I cut my triangles. Okay.
Everyone needs a ruler.
So that's
I'm telling them everything they need.
yes. So
this is going to be fun.
You're going to need the flathead pins.
Okay.
You're going to need the gypsy grips. You're going to need a 45-degree ruler, and you need a
the
ruler.
The
kit.
Uh-huh.
And you need a ruler that you can measure a 5.5-inch square. Now, to buy a 5.5-inch square ruler to me is pretty specific.
Yeah.
So this is a 6.5. We have Quilter Select. We have Creative Grids. So you can lay it down.
So 6.5 is very common for
yes,
patterns,
yeah, and
right?
it's the size of borders usually.
Uh-huh.
So you would lay it down, pretending like this is your light blue fabric back here.
Okay.
You would lay it down so that you have 5.5 like this.
Okay.
See, 5.5 here, 5.5 there, and you'd cut your square and then cut it corner to corner.
Yeah, and the Creative Grids and the Quilter Select, you don't need to put the grippers on.
No, because this won't be on top
Yeah.
of pins.
Okay, so we have to see if Creative Grids has a 45-degree ruler.
Well, Sarah ordered some today, so I think she
Yeah.
ordered from, I don't know who she ordered from, but it looked like this. So
Okay.
maybe it was the Creative Grids.
Okay, so you might not need this, but if you have any old rulers that are sliding around,
you'll need it for your. I would definitely use
since
it.
you lost Carol's ruler,
Yeah.
you can just give her the quilt.
Yeah. Is that what she said?
Deal.
I have to search for it, Carol. I'm sorry.
She
but-
never loses anything.
I know. I
Mhm.
just can't imagine. But you will want it for the back of your triangle. In fact, when I borrowed her ruler, I brought it in and she goes, "What did you put on the back of there? I love those."
Okay,
Mhm.
good. Okay.
So the idea today is to tell you not to cut this out the way the pattern says. Cut it out the way I told you if you're going to start ahead of us. And I wanted to show you all the things you were going to need.
So she'll be walking through the cutting again.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. And then, what other? So we showed
The Crimson Christmas.
Yeah. We showed the kit. Did we miss anything?
No, we didn't show the kit.
Oh, the kit for this.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
another thing. You're going
Okay.
to be cutting 8 layers every
Yeah.
time you cut these triangles.
Uh-huh.
Make sure you put a brand new blade in your
Yeah.
rotary cutter. I don't
Mhm.
care if you say, I just
Here,
changed
I'll
it.
grab that.
I just changed it 3 days ago. If you just changed it 3 days ago and you're pretty sure that the blade's good, take that blade out and put it aside. You don't have to throw it away
Mm-hmm.
and save it for another project. But make sure you start with a fresh blade because, boy, 8 layers is tough.
Yeah.
And
Do you ever use a 60 millimeter?
I was just going to say,
Okay.
you have to use a 45. I love my 28, but it wouldn't cut that many layers.
Okay.
You have to use a 45, and if you have a 60 and you're good at it,
Yeah, I'm not
Get
as
at it.
comfortable with a 60.
I only
I
use-
do better with the 45.
I only use 60 when I'm cutting batting.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Now, our
This is the kit.
blades, they are 10 for that price that you see. And we still have the 10% going back into their account, even on these kits.
Even on the kit.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. I want
Good
them
Lord.
to spend money. That's my whole point. So,
Okay.
but I love learning. I love learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Ruth Ann, I want to come on the show because if I said, oh, I'll just watch it later, I won't watch it later. I'm glad to learn it right now.
So this is the kit, and this is actually packaged this way because the company sent us a kit to work from, and I didn't know it was there, and so I ended up cutting more fabric. So you're going to have 2 pieces of border.
Unfold that. I want them to see because it's different than any other border print
Mm-hmm.
from other companies.
And again, you'll see right here is that little navy blue strip
Yeah.
that they tell you you'll have, and when you come over here, you don't have it.
Yeah. Wow. Inside.
No, inside, yeah. I'm like, oh, they did have it. Right here, yeah. Right here, you don't have it.
You don't. Oh, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She'll walk us through that.
Okay.
Okay. But
And,
like,
and it's just as beautiful without it.
so this. Okay.
Now, are
Is-
we going to cut this?
So
Are we
I
going
don't
to cut
think
this?
any other company makes a
No.
border print like this.
Are we going to cut this kit the way the back says? 2 pieces of this. One is going to be 4.5, and one is going to be 2 3/4.
I don't know. You decide.
Or are we going to cut it as one chunk, and they're going to have to cut it?
Oh, that we're going to cut it as one chunk, I think. How did they do it in their kit?
They-
We were going to do it the exact same
They
way as their
cut
kit.
2 3/4,
Okay.
and that's for your borders.
Okay.
And then there's a piece 4.5 that you cut in half when you get it at home and stack them, and that's for your kaleidoscope.
Well, we better do it the way they did.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna. So you'll get 2 pieces.
And
Okay.
then this is your board. This is your binding. Okay. And then this is the guy that you're going to cut your 5.5-inch squares from, and then slice them. Now, if you want to make templates and you want to draw around your templates and you want to cut on your templates, that's entirely up to you. You're welcome to do that. I just didn't see the need for it, and it's hanging beautifully. It's not wavy or anything.
Uh-huh. So you're saying you used your rulers.
I used the rulers.
Yeah. I think it seems like
Because if you use the template, you have to lay it down, draw around it,
mhm.
because template plastic, you can't run the rotary cutter next to it,
No.
and then you cut it. And that, to me, is just a waste of time and energy.
Yeah, we don't want to waste time and energy. Yes. All right. Did we show everything?
The clapper.
Oh, the clapper. Oh,
Clapper.
yes. Because
Okay.
we have some really thick seams here. I don't know if you're going to see it. In the center of your kaleidoscopes, that's a nice thick seam. Also, Gloria, ouch, on the border right here.
Uh-huh.
Where
Oh,
it meets
gets really
that,
thick
it gets
right
really
there.
thick.
Okay.
So what I do is I give it a little burst of steam, and then I
Yeah. In high school, we learned to hit it. Like it is what we did. You steam, and like that.
Oh, okay, I just hold it on.
and hold it down.
I'm going to move that pin before you jag yourself.
Yeah.
And I think Joni has a
Yes,
clapper.
the class for the quilt is virtual and free. And we don't take it off. You can watch it any time of day.
And these clappers are so nice.
You
They're
know
so
who
nice and
advised
small.
me to do that? Jenny
Jim
Doan.
Doan.
I tell everybody, Jenny Doan from Missouri Star said to me, and this is way before we were doing anything online, or she said, I want to tell you the secret to our success. The secret to our success is free. And I thought, wow, that's easy for you. You got a film crew, you got this, you got that. Never did I imagine that I'd be, her words.
By the way,
because it's because our classes and all of this is free. You can tune in anytime. And you know what my thinking is, someone may not have bought the kit. And so if we sold the class, they never would see this quilt. But because our class is free, they might order this kit in September and do it. So that's what I'm hoping.
And remember,
glow line tape.
Yep.
So there's glow line tape that you can.
I have glow line, but I like a darker tape better.
Okay.
And that black electrical tape really sticks.
Now, all these companies make washi tape. What do you use washi tape for?
I don't know what that is.
Does anybody use washi tape? It's like cute tapes.
It's for like journaling, like bullet journaling.
Yeah.
For envelopes, just to
make it cute. It just makes something cute. Okay. So I did see somebody wrap a package with washi tape, and it looked like ribbon.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it.
We're going to get it in because for the spring event, the Americana fabric by Lori Holt, she also makes a matching washi tape.
So it's a ribbon.
It's kind of ribbon, but it's sticky.
And it's like
It's
very,
tape.
very thin tape.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Well, I learned
I
something
thought
new.
you knew everything,
No.
Ruth Ann.
Do you see how nice and small this is?
Yeah.
Do you remember the old June Taylor one?
Yeah.
It was this big on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Then it came up and it had a pointed wooden thing so you could
Oh,
put
yeah,
your
and a
collar on there.
curve and everything. Yeah.
And I said, that's what I have at home. 'Cause
Do
my
you
mother-in-law
really?
bought it
She
for
has
me years
everything.
ago.
How did
And
you
I said,
lose that ruler?
I said I could commit homicide with this. It's so big and heavy.
Yes.
But this is really nice.
Oh, the size. They want to know the size of the quilt again.
Oh, again? 65 wide by 87.5 long.
65 by 87.5. Washi tape is for scrapbooking. Okay.
Okay.
And that's it. Margaret said she bought a whole bunch because she thought it was necessary for a pattern, and she never used a single piece of it. Yes. So I think it's used a lot in crafting. So I'll get some in.
And
Kathy, I have to tell Kathy this because she told me the Americana fabrics that we're going to use this spring event, they also have coffee mugs and pens and washi tape, and so I have to tell her I ordered it.
I have to look that up when I get home.
Yeah, washi tape. Find out. But I think you could use your washi tape for marking your rulers. Yeah.
As long
But
as
usually
as long
there's
as
a
it stays.
pattern on it.
As
So
long
I
as
don't
it
know.
stays.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it doesn't lift. Like painter's tape, I think would start to lift.
Yeah.
I think that's what, well,
You used electrical tape.
well, I'm an
black
electrician, so I had to
electrical
use
tape.
my electrical tape.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tommy, before I come in here, he said, "Hey, while you're on the show, see if you can find my table runner from yesterday."
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Can we show
Okay.
it?
Oh, yeah, show it. Show it. He's very proud of it. So this is just 3 of the 5 big flowers.
Mhm.
So this is for his next box. So
He says, "I've looked everywhere." I thought, well, he didn't look right there because there
yeah.
it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. And
So-
someone asked yesterday when you were showing this on the show if it includes background quilting. But quite honestly, there's not much background on this.
Yeah. There
And so
isn't.
once you stitch it and
He
turn
was
it,
talking
it
about
doesn't really need to be quilted.
having another piece, and he was going to make it straight. But I really like it in
I do
this shape.
too. I do too.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
I think we're okay. Who knows what Tommy will come up with? You know, if
He
if
is so
hears,
creative.
they were asking about background
I've
quilting.
been looking.
It was
for
right
that.
there.
Yeah, come here.
Oh, and
you
there's
come-
my pillow. It's a good thing I saw that because I have to take my
yeah,
pillow
here,
home.
You tell
What
them
am I
about
telling?
your background.
Oh yeah, we were debating the background quilting. I don't know if you said this, Ruth Ann, but there's not much background to background
No.
quilt, and I thought maybe quilting would take away from the fabric and the patterns on the fabric. But you can see there's not much space in between here.
Yeah.
Now you could piece this you can make this as a quilt too. You know, you can make a bunch
Yeah.
of these and make it
Uh-huh.
into a quilt.
Yeah.
You know,
But are they like? What about quilting inside here? I don't know.
yeah, I could do that. You know,
Okay.
that's
Wait and
something.
see. We'll
So they're going to be in fill stitches as well for little coasters.
wait. Yes.
And they're going to be in the hoop coasters that you can do along with this. You're also going to get a bonus design, a bonus quilt block.
Okay.
If you're pulling it together, there's going to be a bonus quilt block for
Okay.
every single project.
Yeah. And the thing I told them already, the thing that you're waiting for to come from overseas is already here, even though you ordered it after
Well,
the other
yeah.
one.
Well, we're going through the learning phase of customs,
Yeah.
and you know, the tariff war that's going on right now.
Mhm.
And they're being really strict on it. And if there's certain trade agreements and how we purchase things overseas,
Now,
and
wait, there's a question about your hoodie, Joanne K.
paid months ago,
Yeah,
I
but
better
think-
just give it to her.
Do you know her last name? I think that was the issue.
I think that's the issue, Joanne. We gotta figure out your last name so we
Yeah.
can
So reply with your last name.
reply with your last name so we
Yeah.
can look you up.
Yeah, because we have a lot of Joanne K's, and that's all that shows up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
And I'm
good.
wearing the hoodie right now. Too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we
It's
got
been washed
I want-
400 times.
4 billion times.
He wears
The
it
baby
like,
throws up on it every single night.
oh, they had a
Listen,
rough night
yeah.
last night.
We had I didn't go to bed last night till, well, you can call it last night, 7 a.m.
Was
is
she
when I
sick?
shut my eyes.
She's sick.
She's
Oh.
very sick. She's projectile vomiting
Oh.
Mhm.
everywhere. So like
On their bed.
yeah. So
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
So they
she
were
coughs.
changing.
She coughs so
Yeah.
hard, and it's
Mm.
like it's
She doesn't have whooping cough, does she?
I don't know.
'Cause
She was sick
Because
a couple
whooping
months
cough, you
ago.
cough and cough and cough until you get sick.
But it's Gray that's bringing this sickness in.
Oh
and
yeah.
From the little
Nursery
kids.
school.
Mhm.
They're all
Mhm.
sticking fingers in each other's.
Well, speaking of
Faces.
babies, I got my great granddaughter yesterday,
Aw.
Mhm.
What's her name?
Daisy.
Daisy.
Daisy
oh, show them
Victoria.
the quilt you made. Just run. Okay.
Oh, you gotta put this in the bubble,
Okay.
right? We gotta add this because
Okay.
this is gonna be this is a good one. I may have muted the mic. Did I mute the mic?
Did you? Okay.
But there's going to be 5 different flowers. There's going to be coasters that you can do, and then there's all-in-one hoop versions that you can do as well. So
Yeah, how big does a 45-degree ruler have to be? So it has to be at least 10 and a half
I'll
long.
let you guys get back.
Okay.
You don't go clear to the top. It
Yeah.
has to be as long as the template. Let me get the template.
Yeah, she's getting the template out, so you know.
I'm thinking 8 inches, maybe. I don't know.
She's the cutest
Here it is.
baby. She's one of those babies that you just look at her and she smiles. So, yeah, so. And even while she's throwing up, she's smiling. So she is
Eight,
really
it looks
sweet.
like around 8.5 it has to be.
Yeah. So
So,
at least 8.5.
yeah, at least 8.5. I'd probably go 9 or 10.
And I'll go check and see what Sarah ordered. We'll have them here by Thursday.
Okay.
So, all right. I think we're good.
You want me to show you that quote? Yep, you told
Oh
me to
yeah,
go
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah. You got to see Ruth Ann's quilt. Yes.
I made
This
I
is-
made a quote label for it this morning. And I told Gloria it come out huge, so now I have to make a new one. I'm
Oh,
upside down. My granddaughter, who married my grandson, she's from Puerto Rico, and she loves raccoons because they don't have raccoons in Puerto Rico. So Janine said, well, if she knew what a raccoon did, she wouldn't love it.
Yeah, getting your garbage.
Yeah,
right?
so this is the raccoon. The deer is for my grandson. He's a deer hunter. And then the bunny and the fox. And
So
her name is
cute.
Daisy, so it's quilted with 122 daisies.
Yeah,
Mhm.
really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'll
So.
keep that forever. She'll give it to her baby, right? All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in. Next will be Kathy and Mary Lou. Are they going on? What's going on tomorrow
They're going on at 12.
with the purse?
For the bag. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then-
12 o'clock with the purse.
And then they're doing rope bowls at 3.
And rope bowls at 3 with the brand new holiday rope bowls. So you got to tune in all day tomorrow. Noon is the We Love to Stitch bag. And then at 3 o'clock, it'll be the Kimberbell holiday rope bowls. All right.
All righty.
We'll see you then.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.